Today we're looking at Way to Yaatra. This game is a 2D platformer with the main gimmick being that you get to throw various spears. It starts off with just a normal spear that can be used to create platforms allowing you to reach higher ledges or traverse wider gaps. However, you get a few other spears that result in the platforming getting considerably more difficult in the later levels as you unlock more abilities. The three different spears, as far as I got, not sure if there's more later, were a bouncy one you could jump off of for extreme heights, a fire one for obviously lighting everything on fire, and a teleport spear that brought you to wherever it hit. Even after getting these new spears, the original one is still sometimes useful just for creating normal platforms, or for hitting buttons, such as the subscribe button, which you should also hit. The main plot of the game is that there was some sort of disaster in your village and you're now climbing up a mountain to where the gods live to figure out what happened. I think so anyway, as the dialogue was rather awkward to read and full of grammar and spelling errors, so I'm not entirely sure. While the plot was a bit awkward to follow, the music on the other hand was really nice and set the mood well, changing tone quite a bit between the chill platforming tunes and the intense boss battle music. It was honestly a great soundtrack and I was really impressed with it. The only real issue with the game is that it had an odd difficulty curve. Only a few spots were particularly difficult, but the ones that were just seemingly came from nowhere. One moment you're happily jumping around a cliff ledge and the next you're doing multiple teleport chains just to get somewhere. Despite the difficulty jumps with the difficult jumps, it did go back down a bit and didn't stay challenging the whole way. You did get a bit of a break after executing a perfect series of jumps and throws, so while it felt a bit jarring when there's suddenly mid-level difficulty spikes, it isn't too bad and does give things a change of pace. The overall level design had similar issues, with some being awful and giving you barely any time at all to see where to go. For example, this section here. You had to go up and to the left over in this direction. However, you land on a small platform that disappears after only a few seconds, so I was focusing in the direction I had to go in, and took me several tries to notice the path led this other way to the right, then up, and then across to the left. On the other hand, there's some perfect level designs throughout the game. This boss requires you to hit it with some orbs. Right at the start though, there's some ledges that are too high to jump and you need to use the bouncy spear. When you throw the spear, the spot it's likely to hit is exactly where the button is to trigger the first orb to fall. This passively teaches you how to do the boss fight by hitting the buttons as you go. I really liked this game and will likely finish it in my own time later. While it didn't bring anything really new to the table, it was just a platformer with some minor abilities. It executed that premise really well. After my 3-hour stream, I was only 2 or 3 levels away from the end based on the map. It's definitely worth checking out if you want a relatively short platformer to play for a couple hours. If you want to see other free games available on Steam, remember to subscribe. Also, join me on Twitch every Friday at 7 PM EST, where I'll be streaming a new game before uploading my quick review and thoughts on it the following week here on YouTube.